I love RPGs. Always have, always will. There's just something so relaxing about getting lost in a big RPG and just escaping your everyday real life struggles and becoming completely immersed into a new world. Kind of like a good book. I've played a lot of RPGs over the years, some good, some bad. One of the very first video games I've ever beaten on my own was an RPG, Final Fantasy IX, which actually turned 22 this year. Happy birthday, bro. My love for RPGs grows and grows and grows with each passing year. Especially now that the Nintendo Switch is out, this little guy has so many RPGs on there that it's kind of overwhelming in the year 2022. You know, you've got Final Fantasy 6, I lied to you, I'm sorry, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 12, and I think that's it for the Final Fantasy games, which is kind of absurd. I really do believe we should have more, you know, especially some of the older ones that came out on, you know, the original Nintendo consoles like NES and SNES. I digress. Definitely could use some ports, GBA games. I digress. Continue on. We've got Bravely Default 2, solid game. A whole slew of, you know, strategic RPGs with Fire Emblem. A really cool game that came out this year called Dark Deity came out on on Steam sometime before. It just recently found its way over onto the Switch. Pretty cool game. And then, not to mention, you got a lot of Pokemon games too, with more coming. You know, this thing she really is just an RPG machine. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk a little bit about is I see a lot of people talking crap about the Switch still to this day. 5 years into its life, and it's still putting out banger after banger. Like, we just had Live Alive come out, which was a SNES game in Japan only, but now it came to America with this new 2D HD style graphical, you know, remake, and it is dominating right now. My Twitter for all up until this last Friday, July 29th, a big game came out, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But my Twitter timeline, my feed was just all about Live Alive and how happy everyone was and how quickly they were very upset that it came out a week before Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out. We'll talk about that here in a second. But, you know, it's got 8 different storylines that you follow, and it's this really awesome game that we never got a chance to play in America, and we finally got it. It's awesome. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I know a lot of other people really enjoy it. They love it. I'm moving on to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This game... Wake up, babe. This game's blowing up everywhere. I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't actually played any Xenoblade games, and that's why I don't know if I want to jump right into this. I asked Twitter a couple days ago. I said, hey, I've never played Xenoblade. Should I hop into Xenoblade Chronicles 3? I had a couple people tell me that I could just watch some videos on the internet, on YouTube, of, you know, Xenoblade 1 and 2 and kind of get myself caught up to speed and stuff like that. And then I could play Xenoblade 3 and, you know, really enjoy the experience. Because from what I'm seeing, a lot of people love this game already. I think I might still pick it up and try it just because I'm having a serious case of FOMO with Xenoblade. And I really, really want to. I mean, I watched gameplay footage. I watched the direct on it. I've been watching people stream it. I've been listening to people play it, watching it. Just it looks like my type of game. So I asked myself, why? Why didn't I get into it before? But I don't know. Something that kind of popped up over the weekend when Xenoblade came out was someone said, could you imagine... It was Mighty Keith. I'll just throw it here, right here. He said, could you imagine if Xenoblade Chronicles 3 would have came out on the PS5 with all the PS5's crap? And... because he said that a long time, you know, PlayStation is like the home for JRPGs. And that got me thinking, is it? Is it really the home of JRPGs? Because, I mean, they closed Sony Japan Studios, which, you know, I feel like would have helped them a lot. Now, there's rumors of them possibly buying Square, stuff like that, but, I mean, think about it. The Switch is a literal RPG machine. We named some of the games earlier, but then you have all the 2D HD games, which I know Octopath Traveler came out on Game Pass. We have Octopath Traveler, we have Triangle Strategy, we have Dragon Quest 3 2D HD coming out soon. Live Alive just came out, you know, and there's more coming as well. There's more RPGs coming along the line. I know I missed some of them but there's so many more coming. We have Pokemon coming. Obviously, the Xenoblade Chronicles, all 3 of those games have been doing well on the console. You know, and Dark Deity, like I mentioned earlier, Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, like there's all these games that are on the Switch, and you can play it on the go. So you're gonna sit there and tell me that the PlayStation has better RPGs and more RPGs, and it's a better way to play, and you'd rather have Xenoblade on your PS3? I don't know, man. To me, handheld is like my bread and butter. I was the biggest Game Boy Advance, SP, Game Boy Micro, or Game Boy Advance Micro, DS, 2DS, 3DS, all these things. I loved handheld gaming. Still do. That's why this thing is my absolute favorite console. You know, especially now, as an adult, I don't really like sitting in front of a TV and playing a lot. I'd rather just have my Switch with me. My wife can watch something on TV, and I can sit here and play all these great games, all these amazing giant RPGs in my hands. And people to this day still have that dumb argument where they try to sit there and tell us that she ain't that strong. Have you seen Xenoblade Chronicles 3? Have you seen Breath of the Wild? What about Bayonetta? I just recently picked up Bayonetta 2 and started playing through that game. Dude, that game looks amazing on this console. I don't get it. And then you got Bayonetta 3 coming. It looks awesome. We're probably going to get Breath of the Wild 2 on this. I can't imagine a new console coming out before Breath of the Wild comes out. And Metroid Prime trilogy rumor, please come out. And then Metroid Prime 4, which has been in development for like, what, 8 years now? I still can't believe that there's people out there that are going to argue saying that games like Xenoblade deserve to be on PlayStation when it runs so well on here and is so great. RPGs, man, they're just so much fun. And I just want to say thank you to all the developers out there that continue to put their blood, sweat, and tears into making such fantastic games for me to eat up and play and get lost in their stories and help me through some of my darkest times in life. Now, I want to tell a quick story before we end this. My brother actually told the story over on his TikTok. You should go and follow him, Bon John Beller at TikTok. He reminisced a little bit about a gaming story that happened when we were younger. So he was a great big brother and would play through Final Fantasy IX while I sat and watched. There's about an 8-year gap in the age between us. So he's older, and he's playing Final Fantasy IX. I'm watching him play, stuff like that. He gets to the final boss. Now, those of you who have played the game know the final boss, and it's a pretty tough fight, right? He doesn't go to school the next day. I don't know why. I don't even think he says why in the video either. So he doesn't go to school the next day. I do. I was in probably elementary school. He was probably high school, something like that. And he was nice enough to use a VHS because we're old people. He used a VHS to record him beating the final boss. So when I got off the bus and ran inside, I got to watch the end of the game. So I didn't get to miss anything. Now you're going to sit there and tell me that that's not cool. That's awesome. I love that story so much. But also, he didn't mention this one yet. I one time deleted his Final Fantasy X save file. I think he was at like the end of the game too, or like halfway through. He was some odd hours in, and he was pretty mad about that one. Yeah, but hey, I was a kid, you know? We make mistakes. We learn. I learned from that day that you should always double save. Don't trust the autosave. I always, in my RPGs, I always like to make 2 save, maybe even sometimes 3 save files. Another RPG that's on here, Skyrim, runs great. Just thought I'd throw that out there too. But yeah, you know what? This thing rocks, man. Still to this day, 5 years later, still busting out RPGs left and right. Like, if you go to the eShop, I'm sure you could find 100 of them, no problem. And some probably don't have the best quality, but I guarantee there's some substance in there for you, and you, and you too. But thank you to all the developers, like I said earlier, for making all these great RPGs. I love playing them on my Switch. Keep making them, and I'll keep playing them. So thank you, RPGs, JRPGs, SRPGs, any other kind of P's and G's and rockets and projectiles. Story. I love you. All right, bye. Thanks, you guys. Back to the next one.